All new BT21 ShineGreymon support is back, and here it is to power up with Marcuses as we punch against the opponents, taking down all their security. Let's go ahead and talk about what this deck does. Now, in normal Digimon decks, there's usually Digimon cards and Tamer cards, which kind of support each other. Mainly, the Digimon stack is your main boss that deals most of the work, and then your Tamers are going to be like supplementary effects to help boost it up even further. But for this archetype, there is your Digimon stack, and then there's Marcus, which is actually your front line, which actually deals most of your damage into your opponent's security, and you want to focus on that as much as possible. As you digivolve into your ShineGrey line, it acts as support for your Marcus to give it extra DP, security attack +1, and everything with DP reduction to control the opponent's side of the board to keep your Marcuses protected. But now, thanks to the new BT21 support, you can deal even more early damage combos, as you also get to have more ways to finish off games, meanwhile sustaining and also supplementing the OTK explosiveness that the deck has in order for Marcuses to help continue punching as much as you can and deal a chunk of damage to win games. Now, one of the biggest discussions is that whether you should be running a red base or yellow base, and that really just comes down to your own personal build and play style that you prefer. And that's because there are pros and cons for both, but the margin between both of them is relatively slim. So I feel like there isn't really a perfect answer to that at this current moment. But I will talk about them both more in depth throughout the video as I show you the build that I've been working on so far. And for the Digi-Egg cards, I'm running 4 copies of the all-new BT21 Koromon. And yeah, that pretty much means I'm starting off with a yellow base, which I'm working with at the moment. One of the things that I like about this effect is that you get to draw a card when you suspend your Marcuses, whether by effects or as you attack. One of the best examples is when you attack with your BT12 Marcus into your opponent's security, you can draw and find your pieces before deciding if you want to commit to a combo. Another very specific situation is, say if I'm missing a level 6, I can attack with the Marcus, make sure I draw it, and then if I find it, I can digivolve into it. Whereas the red Koromon egg doesn't provide me that because I have to take down the opponent's security first before being able to draw, and by then I would miss the timing to digivolve for free with the BT12 Marcus. The other application is that there's quite a number of other new effects that help your Marcuses suspend without even attacking, so that we can actually find and draw your pieces throughout those current stages of the game. Although right now it does objectively sound like the yellow Koromon is the way to go, but don't worry, I'll still cover the BT14 red Koromon in the tech choices later on to talk about in what situations I kind of prefer that egg instead. So now let's begin talking about the rookies. Starting with 4 copies of the BT12 Agumon is our main searcher of the deck. Being able to grab anything within the line that's Greymon as well as Marcus is the most important thing that we need so that we can set them up. Having the inherited effect to give -2000 DP as we suspend our Tamers, which is when our Marcuses attack or when they suspend by their own effects and such, we can pretty much weaken the opponent's Digimon. Right now, I'm also running 3 copies of the EX4 Agumon, which is to give us additional memory to work with at the starter main as long as we have a Tamer. Since our main strategy is to have Marcuses out on the board, we're going to gain a lot of value off of it. But aside from that, its inherent effect gives us the draw power when our Marcuses suspend. This is really crucial to help us cycle through the deck and find the pieces that we need so we can go for the optimal stack and try to execute the aggressive OTK combo as much as possible. Next, I'm running 2 copies of the BT13 Agumon, which can pretty much turn any of our Marcuses into a Digimon for the turn with its main effect, so then we can attack immediately with it. And the best thing about that is we can dish out more attacks or even not have to pay the 1 memory for the BT12 Marcus at the start of main. Its inherent effect is great to help us remove Floodgate rookies, or when we rack up a lot of DP reduction, it pretty much helps finishes off the remaining part of the Digimon that we want to delete. Now I want to talk about the new BT21 Agumon, which I'm only running 1 copy of at the moment, just because the warping is nice when the opponent has a level 6 or higher Digimon on the board. Since this is a passive your turn effect, we can even synergize it with the BT12 Marcus to digivolve warping into a ShineGrey for free. This can give you access to clutch plays in moments where you really need to climb all the way up as quickly as possible. And with its inherent effect, it gives us extra 2000 DP to the stack, which there are times we're going to start attacking with our ShineGrey more now with the new support. So now let's talk about level 4s. I want to start off with the new GeoGreymon from BT21, which I'm running 3 copies of. As soon as you play down a Marcus, you pretty much get to digivolve this into a Rise Greymon from your hand for free. The thing is, before you generally pay the memory to digivolve up your line, so then you can play your Marcuses for free. But now by paying the memory to play the Marcus, you get to Evo for free. And the cool thing is, you're pretty much getting the same amount of value as you set up for both cards. Just like the new Agumon, you get extra 2000 DP within your stack with its inherent effect. Then I'm still running 3 copies of the older BT12 GeoGreymon. This allows us to play out a Marcus from our hand for free if we don't have one to begin with, but in the later stages of the game, you're not really going to be able to do that since you already have Marcuses established by then. The main reason why I still prefer running at least 3 copies of this guy is because I want to see it as early as possible in the early game stages so that I can ramp up quickly. And with its inherent effect, is still relatively more useful to help us remove the opponent's Digimon with the DP reduction effects. As for the EX4 GeoGreymon, I'm running 2 copies of this guy just to help us gain memory at the start and main, just like the EX4 Agumon, and also providing that draw power to help us fetch our pieces as much as possible. And of course, you can't forget about the BT13 GeoGreymon, which you still have to run at least 1 copy of since it is restricted down to 1, just because being able to search through your security to play out your Marcuses is just incredibly powerful. Level 5s, which are all going to be ShineGreymons. I'm running 4 copies of the BT13 just simply because it lets you play out a Marcus as soon as you Digivolve into it. Having the recursion to place any of your Marcuses back from trash to the top of your security when any of your Tamers are deleted is great to keep your life as healthy as possible, and also pressures against your opponents from wanting to attack into you because they know they're going to give you value afterwards. And this effect is applicable all turns as long as you have the ShineGrey on the board, or even when you Digivolve it into ShineGrey, because it provides you exactly the same with its inherent effect. And then for the new BT21 ShineGreymon, I'm running 3 copies of this guy. When you play or Digivolve into this card, you can turn any of your Marcuses into a 3000 DP Digimon that has Rush and Alliance, and then one of your Digimon may attack. This facilitates your early game damage combos, which you can execute way earlier than before. But this isn't the only application of this card, because in the later stages of this game, when your opponent's down to 0 security, this can be a surprise factor from your hand as you hard drop it for the full 7 memory, turning any of your unsuspended Marcuses to help finish the games off as your opponents won't see coming. And just like most other ShineGreymon effects that we're most familiar with, it has that recursion for Marcuses from the trash to put it back to the top of your security stack, just like the one from BT13. That's it for level 5s. Now let's talk about level 6s. I'm still running 4 copies of the BT12 ShineGrey just because it gives you so much power to your Marcuses to deal security attack +1 and extra 3000 DP. And you get to DP reduce your opponent's Digimon by 3000 DP for every Tamer that you have, which also includes all of the opponent's Digimon that are within the security for the turn. This ShineGreymon alone is the best at helping you accelerate your win con as you chunk down your opponent's security and also taking out their big boss Digimon at the same time. As for the new BT21 ShineGreymon, I'm running 2 copies of this card. Unlike the other ShineGrey that requires more Marcuses to get rid of your opponent's big boss Digimon, this guy can do it alone with its own raid capability, or even the effect to delete something with 9000 DP or less as you Digivolve or attack with it. Normally, once you rack up a lot of DP reductions, being able to delete something 9k afterwards is easy peasy. Furthermore, it can give you almost the same amount of aggression as it attacks because it will gain security attack +1 and 3000 DP by suspending your own Marcuses as support while he does the main work. This is a nice complementary to the BT12 one because it helps achieve your aggressive game plan by delivering the same results. For level 7s, I'm solely focusing on the BT13 ShineGreymon Burst Mode, which I'm running 3 of. The main reason is because I want to see it as soon as possible to help me go for the game-ending combo, returning the Marcus from my board to my hand so that I can burst Digivolve for free, afterwards playing the same Marcus back out as it becomes a 12k rusher so that I can attack and trash the opponent's security when a Tamer is suspended. But other than that, there are other level 7s, which I'll talk about more in the tech choices. Tamers, which are all going to be Marcuses, have to run the 4 copies of the BT12 one just because it lets you Digivolve into your line for free, just by paying that 1 memory at the start of main. As long as you have an Agumon or Greymon in its name on the board, it can help you climb up very easily and quickly. The fact that it can turn itself into a Digimon is the reason why you want to have it as your main attacker. Then I'm running 3 copies of the BT13 one, which is the 5-cost Marcus, which is our memory setter to help us ensure we start our turn with 3 memory to work with, so then we can execute more combos and plays, but also being able to suspend itself as soon as it's being played so that it can minus 3000 DP to an opponent's Digimon, and as long as we have a Agumon or GeoGreymon or ShineGrey or ShineGrey, we get to gain a memory back as well. Or even when it comes out clutch from the security, stealing some memory during the opponent's turn as they attack into us. And now for the new BT21 Marcus, I'm running 2 copies of this guy. Starter main, you get to gain a memory as long as the opponent has a Digimon on the board. When you play this guy out, you can suspend any of your Marcuses, including itself. And when this guy is suspended, you get to give one of your Digimon extra 3000 DP and piercing until the end of the turn. At the same time, you also get to DP reduce one of your opponent's Digimon by 3000 too. It goes without saying that this card is best synergized with the new ShineGreymon, as you get to pump it up, raid into your opponent's Digimon, and still pierce for damage at the same time. But the other nice thing about this card is that you can suspend all your other Marcuses, where you can go for your BT12 one, which you may have played out the same turn, but still allowing you to Digivolve up your line. Or even suspend the BT13 one, which was set up from the prior turn so that you can utilize its effect to DP reduce something by 3000 DP and and gain a memory again. But that wraps up for all the Marcuses and Tamers. Now let's talk about options, which I'm running 4 copies of Physical Training and 2 copies of Yellow Scramble as my main staples. Tech choices and other cards that you guys can also be included in this deck, but let's begin the discussion with the red base version of the deck, starting with the BT14 Red Koromon. This gives you the draw power when your opponent's security is removed. The nice thing about it is that it doesn't require you to have a Marcus present on the board, and if you want to do some early chip damage to help you draw pieces without relying on additional cards, this is the card to help you do it. ShineGreymon suffers a lot in the early stages, especially when you don't use your pieces where you're desperately trying to gather more cards, which is why this egg allows you to take the matters into your own hands and begin attacking to draw instantly. And if you ever decide to run the red base, there are other cards that I would like to suggest for you specifically for that you can tag along as well, such as the Agumon X to help you search and find your other Greymon pieces. And of course, you will switch all the staple option cards which I showcased earlier into the red colors, matching it as well to help you boost up the consistency, such as grabbing any other option cards like Crimson Blaze, which is really good for the meta to counter against any Digimon or decks that play by effects. You can also grab yourself Agumon Ace. Since you play a handful of Agumons, this is another way that you can go into a level 7 aside from just relying on ShineGreymon Burst Mode. And yes, those cards can be ran in the yellow base anyways, but generally it's always nicer to have a smoother game plan with the color consistency so that you don't have any hiccups. Other ShineGreymons that you can also run instead would be the BT21 one, because it can constantly turn your Marcuses into Digimon at the starter main or when you Digivolve into it for absolutely 3. And also the DP reduction to get rid of your opponent's Digimon. The pure yellow BT17 Shine Gray can also help you play even more Marcuses out for free if you ever want to establish a whole army of them and go as wide as possible. Itself also has protection so that you can return your Marcuses back to your hand to prevent it from leaving the battle area whenever it be threatened specifically from your opponent's effects. Similar for the Burst Mode Ace, as you also get to play your Marcuses for free and DP reduced to counter against your opponents when they attack into you, and then secure your win con in the following turn with a safer game plan. If you want to have removal in the form of an option and potential security bomb, Sunrise Buster is always fantastic because you can instantly play out a Tamer and then DP reduce something by 3000 DP for every Tamer you have as well on your board. Combos and how to play the newly updated BT21 ShineGreymon deck. With your mulligan hand, you want to find your Agumon, which is your lower iron to Digivolve. You want to get your BT12 to search, Physical Training to grab either anything that you need up the line, otherwise it's going to be your Marcuses. Ideally, you want to play them out for free as you combo with your GeoGreymons together as well as your Rise Greymons, but there are times you might actually have to just hard drop them for the full cost because you need to speed and ramp up, and as you eventually climb into your Shine Gray, you ideally want to use your BT12 Marcus to swing so you can Digivolve for free. By doing so, you can deal a ton of damage into your opponent's security and set up for your potential OTKs to rush down your opponents and go Unga Bunga straight to the face. For the first combo, I want to show you guys how to utilize the new BT21 cards just to deal initial damage into the opponent's security. So all you need is any Agumon ready to go, and you just want to have Physical Training. I'm going to push it out, and then use Physical Training Delay to Digivolve into GeoGrey for free. Play out Marcus, which is the new one. Both the effects of GeoGreymon and the Marcus Daemon that you played out are going to trigger their effects at the same time. We're going to use GeoGrey so that we can actually Digivolve into Rise Greymon for free. We're not going to use the on-play of the Marcus Daemon effect because we now want to use the Rise Greymon to turn this Marcus into a rush attacker. And since the memory has passed to your opponent's side, we can still make an attack off the effect. So as soon as we attack and suspend with this Marcus, we get to give extra 3000 DP to itself. We also get to minus one of the opponent's Digimon by 3000 DP. We also get Piercing. Since Marcus was suspended, we get to draw a card off the Agumon and Koromon Inheritable to continue finding more pieces as our follow-up combos later on. Because Marcus gained Alliance off of Rise Greymon's effect, this is now we can sequence and also suspend the Rise Greymon, giving the Marcus extra 9k, which is pretty much 15k into the opponent's security for 2 checks. As the Marcus attacks, if it ever would be deleted, like by an option in security, you get to use the Rise Greymon's second effect to place a Marcus from your trash back to the top of your security. For the next combo, I want to show you guys how we can mix between some of the old and the newer cards together to deal even more damage than before. We're going to start off with the GeoGrey from EX4. We're going to have a BT12 Marcus and Physical Training with 1 memory is all we need. We're going to push out the GeoGrey. Start a mate, we're going to gain a memory because we do have the Tamer. And then we're also going to pay that 1 memory to push out the Marcus, turning it into a Digimon that can attack. Gonna use the delay of physical training to Digivolve into ShineGreymon for 1 cost. ShineGreymon is gonna play the new Marcus out here, and we're not gonna use his on-play effect just yet. Next, attack with this Marcus, which is a 3000 DP Digimon. We get to draw one of GeoGray and minus 2k to one of the opponent's Digimon with Agumon, and also draw another card of Koromon. Because this Marcus is suspended, we can now Digivolve our ShineGreymon into the new ShineGreymon for free. This is where we want to analyze the board state and know our matchups against the opponents, whether if we want to delete something with 9k or less on the opponent's side of the board. If not, we can save it for later when we attack with it. Since Marcus is only at 3k, let's assume it gets deleted in security. This is where we get the inheritable effect of ShineGreymon to pretty much put a Marcus back into the top of our security. For this example, let's assume the opponent has 2 unsuspended Digimon on the board where we can remove both of them at the same time. I'm going to attack with ShineGreymon, and with its when attacking effect, I'm going to suspend the Marcus to give extra 3000 DP and also minusing 3000 DP to one of the opponent's Digimon on their side. ShineGreymon is also going to gain another extra 3000 DP and security attack +1. Now going back to its first when attacking effect, we get to delete something that's 9k or lower on the opponent's side of the board. Assuming we use the DP reductions on that Digimon, it will get rid of pretty much anything that is 14k or lower. ShineGreymon then can raid into the other unsuspended Digimon with 18k, taking it over, which is going to pierce for 2 checks. To further extend this combo, this is where we can burst Digivolve into ShineGreymon burst mode by returning this Marcus to our hand and then playing out this Marcus for free. This Marcus is going to gain rush and have 12,000 DP so that we can swing into the opponent's security, and because it's suspended, we get to trash the opponent's security first, gain a memory, and also minus 3k to another body if they have one. If the opponent was 5 security at the beginning of this turn, this will put them down to 0. But if they had 4 security to begin with, this is a game-winning play already. And now for this combo, I want to demonstrate how we're going to utilize our full firepower OTK against the opponents, putting them down from 5 all the way to 0 and winning the game in that same turn. We're going to have this Agumon to push out to gain a memory because we have a Tamer. We're going to also pay that same memory to have the BT12 Marcus turn into a Digimon. Use physical training to Digivolve into any GeoGray here. This is not going to be able to play a Marcus because we already have one on the board, but its inherent effect to help us DP reduce the opponent's Digimon certainly help. Digivolve the GeoGray into ShineGreymon for 3 costs, and then we're going to play out this Marcus here. Now we're going to use this on-play effect to suspend one of our own Marcuses. I'm going to suspend the BT13 Marcus so that I can minus something by 3k on the opponent's side and also gain a memory. Attack with the BT12 Marcus into the opponent's security, and because it's suspended, we get to draw one off Agumon and Koromon and minus 2k to another one of the opponent's Digimon. And then this is where we can Digivolve into ShineGreymon for free. ShineGreymon, the BT12 one, is going to minus something by 9k because 3k for each Marcus that we have. We can minus 9k to one of the opponent's Digimon and 9k to the opponent's security. Furthermore, the Marcus is now going to gain extra 3000 DP and security attack +1. Worst case, assuming the Marcus got deleted while attacking, we can always use the inherent effect of ShineGreymon to place it back to the top of our security, or even any Marcuses that we have in the trash. Now I'm going to go into the burst mode by returning this Marcus back to my hand and playing the exact same Marcus out here so that it's 12k and rush. I'm going to attack with it so I gain a memory and also minus 3000 DP to one of the opponent's Digimon. Look at all these DP reductions that we're racking up for the turn. Since Marcus suspended, it will trash the opponent's top security card and go for that 1 check. The opponent has 1 security left. I'm going to attack with the burst mode to take it down. And the final part of this combo is where I'm going to go ahead and play the ShineGreymon for the full 7 cost, because when you play it out, you get to turn your Marcus to have rush and it can attack. So this is how we're going to finish the game off, by attacking with it, minusing something for another 3000 DP, giving itself extra 3000 DP, and even alliancing if I want to pretty much go for game. Don't forget to grab the Destined Partners playmat and the status counters on the AVAULT store, which are perfect accessories to help assist you guys while playing the game. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video. This is AVAULT signing out.